Good evening, and welcome to the Twinsburg Board of Education regular meeting of Wednesday, April 5, 2023. It is 7 p.m. Ms. Rosnaya, will you please call us to order?
Mrs. Crawford?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Travis?
Here. Okay, being that we are all here, we could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the meeting agenda, we do have an addendum item. Do I have a motion to accept that and put it into the agenda, please?
Are you gonna say
Okay, so moved by Mr. Curtis. It'll go under I-11. I-11. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Rosanaya, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome those that are online watching and present. I'm Leah Travis. I am your board vice president and honored to facilitate tonight's meeting. Regretfully, we will have no student presentations tonight in honors. We've decided at 3 o'clock, the news of the weather was not good and decided it would be best if we allowed our children to be safe tonight at home, and we will be honoring them at the May 3rd meeting. Otherwise, our students have been very engaged in a lot of wonderful happenings. I'd like to share a couple tonight. First, our Tigers were on the road during spring break. The band and orchestra traveled to Florida, and their performances were outstanding. Our great expectations were in Chicago, and our varsity basketball team was able to travel to Wright State University and participate in some action against teams from the other parts of the state of Ohio. Great stuff. We want to thank our teachers and staff members who have put together and worked so hard with our students every day and arrange these adventures. We also send out a huge thank you to all of our parent chaperones. Giving of your time commitment to travel and to actually doing the work of chaperoning is greatly appreciated. Our spring sports and activities are well underway. April and May will be very busy months in our district. My three colleagues, Tina Davis, Mark Curtis, and Rob Feller, were recently honored for their 10 years of service to our Board of Education, so congratulations. Being new to this role, I can tell you today that I truly appreciate more than I ever thought the work and time and the commitment that they have put in to serve in our district. I'd like to recognize our high school English teacher, Danae Pinckney. Ms. Pinckney was awarded a $5,000 grant from the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation Fund for Teachers. Ms. Pinckney will travel to Africa to visit Ghana and the Togolese Republic to research the ancestry of Black America to produce an expansion of the depth of knowledge of Western Africa. In her words, to deepen student connections to literature, art, culture, and self-identity. She will bring this research back to her classes. Congratulations from us here to Ms. Pinckney, and we do look forward to hearing about your travel and your research. On a broader note, we want to thank the members of our local law enforcement, fire department, city workers, community workers from the township and Reminderville, and to all our community emergency response team members for all of the efforts that you put in this past weekend to keep all of our Tiger community safe with the storms. And obviously, we are thankful for everything that you did to prepared for today. We appreciate you. I want to remind everyone that over the past months, we have been talking about legislation that has a negative effect on our district and on public education in general. I absolutely urge you in particular tonight to pay attention to House Bill 1. Even if you do not have students, this bill, if passed, will negatively affect all homeowners. Stay engaged and advocate for public education. Research for yourself the details of House Bill 1. If you're able to Google, simply Google House Bill 1 Ohio 2023 to get the right one. And again, please look at the effects that this bill will have, not only on education, but on all of our homeowners. And in closing, and on behalf of all of us as we sit here tonight, we wish a happy Passover to those celebrating tonight and to all who will celebrate the upcoming Easter holiday. We wish you a weekend full of joy, hope, and time spent with those that you love the most. Thank you. I'd like to turn that over now to Mrs. Powers.
Thank you, Mrs. Travis. Good evening, Board, Mrs. Rosnaya. Good evening, special guests, and everyone who's joining us from their home this evening. I'm without my wingman tonight. The weather is so awful. Central office staff is staying home, and hopefully they are all safe and enjoying a home evening with their families. As Mrs. Travis indicated, we let our parents know that the students from Wilcox and Dodge and Twinsburg High School who have been celebrated this evening will have their chance to be celebrated at the first meeting in May, which is May 3rd. And we look forward to congratulating all of our Tigers and thanking them for just being great citizens here in our school district. Board of Education, it is National Assistant Principals Week. And so we just want to give a shout out to the assistant principals that work really hard every day to support our students. They are the fuel behind the place. They just do so many wonderful things in supporting our students. They care about the kids. They are in communication with our families, and they are just wonderful educators. So thank you to all of them, and we hope that they celebrate this week. It just feels really good about what they do and how their commitment to our students really does make a difference. Kindergarten registration is underway. Parents of our incoming kindergarten students, otherwise known as our class of 2036, are invited to complete the initial enrollment application by going to our website under For Parents, then Registration and Enrollment New Students. This page has information about registration and the documents you will need to bring to your appointment the day your child participates in kindergarten screening. This year, we'll be conducting registration and screening appointments for new kindergarten students on June 1st and 2nd from 8:15 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. at Wilcox Primary School. Students who are currently in our preschool programs will not need to participate in kindergarten registration and screening, as they will be screened during the month of May in their classrooms. Please call Wilcox Primary School if you have any questions regarding kindergarten registration, and we so look forward to meeting all of the students in our class of 2036 very soon. Board of Education, as Mrs. Travis indicated in last week's weekly update, I spoke a little bit about House Bill 1 and the importance of our residents. Whether or not you have students who attend our school district, it's just really important that you're staying close to that legislation, because there is a potential negative impact to your property taxes regarding this recalculation of the tax structure in the state of Ohio. So please do pay attention to that. Also, House Bill 33 is the state's biennium budget bill, which is making its way through the House. Also important legislation for us to be aware of and to advocate for public education through our legislators' offices. As Mrs. Travis indicated, we had kids traveling in many places. Not to correct you, but I will. It wasn't the basketball team that traveled to Wright State. It was baseball.
Yes.
Right, wrong season. But I'm understanding that our young men had a terrific time. Watched them out on Twitter, and I was very appreciative of Coach Luca and the coaching staff, as well as the parent chaperones who went with the kids. So thank you to them. In addition to us celebrating either Passover or Easter, many of our community members are also celebrating the continuation of Ramadan, and so we wish them well. Many of our students participate in activities with their families, many visiting temples here in this month, and we wish them well and much joy as they celebrate with their families. And so as we started, our students are not here tonight. They are going to celebrate with us in the month of May. So I guess that concludes my report for this evening, and I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Mrs. Rosnaya, Okay, so moving on.
No, committee reports.
Oh, committee reports, yes, sorry.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
The Buildings and Grounds Committee met on Monday, March 20th at 4:30, and the items that we discussed were an update on the energy conservation project, and that's our project with Gardner. And it's simply just, the status of how things are going, and if we're on schedule per the agreement of, our energy savings. And it looks to be that we are still on pace. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Powers, like 80% or something like that complete, so that we'll begin to realize the cost savings and the reimbursement per that contract. We also discussed the safety and security grant funding. Pretty significant piece of what we're trying to do. Recall when we had a forum and we kind of got a lot of feedback from the community. We did a presentation with respect to our readiness and a lot of the things that we do around safety and security for the district. And one of the, there are a few items that came out in terms of the feedback that we got. And so this grant funding is going to allow us some opportunities to kind of fulfill some of those things. We discussed, getting new radios, cameras, and access control. But we also had some conversation around security wands. Remember that there's a lot of communication or conversation around whether metal detectors are something that we would look at. We also talked about some other types of technology, but based on what we're trying to do and based on what we have and the amount of this money, it was a little cost prohibitive. So there's still some exploration around the wands and looking at the cost of those, but it looks like that's something that's going to be more feasible for us based on what we have available in grant dollars. We also talked about our summer projects. This is something that we do every year. So the business manager kind of laid out all of the projects, and as Mrs. Powers has talked about previously, asphalt. A lot of asphalt being laid, fixing roads, looking at roofs, continuing addressing those kind of infrastructure pieces, and really the costs that are associated with that. And much, if not all, of what we discussed in the costs are coming out of our permanent improvement. Thank you, Ms. Rosanaya. Permanent Improvement Fund. And this is typical for this time of year. So we wanted to make sure that we had these discussions at this point in time so that we could begin to move forward because of lead times on materials and things like that. If you don't start at this point in time, by the time we start in summer, we won't be able to start and have them completed for summer projects. We also discussed online payment options, and the reason that we discussed that is because apparently the software that we currently use either it's going to be obsolete or it's not going to talk to our student information software system, and that poses a problem with respect to just efficiency and things of that sort. So we had a lot of discussion around other options, other different directions that we want to go, and going with a package that's going to be more in line with customer service, ease of use with our parents, and so forth and so on. And then we also discussed the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, the OFCC, and this is a pretty significant deal potentially, where if we decided to pursue a bond issue, this is where the state could potentially kick in dollars to help offset the total costs. We're working with our legislators and hopefully getting a line item in the current budget that Mrs. Power spoke of. So in order to do that, there are things that we need to do in partnership with other entities that will allow us to be eligible to access those dollars. So so far so good. Looking forward to potentially seeing if we can't leverage something like that. And then last but not least is our rentals. This is something that this time of year, we discuss, and it's routine conversation around looking at our rental facilities, and making sure that we're still in line with the costs associated with those as well. Is there anything else that I did? Is there anything that I missed?
That was a pretty good list.
Okay.
Right. Well done.
I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So we adjourned, and that's it.
Any other committees?
The Equity Committee met on Monday, but I was unable to attend due to my son's fracture. So, Ms. Powers, do you want to?
Sure. So we had a great meeting. Mrs. McKinney was there as well. Most of the committee members were back with us. We are starting one of their tasks that the committee has assigned themselves, and that is the creation of a draft educational equity policy for the board to consider. And so the conversation on Monday night was mainly about identifying the components of a policy and then breaking up into work groups. And now each of those work groups has the assignment to do some research between now and the next meeting on May 1st, so that when we come back together again on May 1st, the writing of this draft policy can occur. So appreciate the members of the committee, very committed to this important work and dedicated to the students who attend our schools.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along now, G, Treasurer's Report. Without objection, I'll read the three together. Okay, number one, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes, the regular meeting of March 15th, 2023, as sent to the board under separate cover. Two, financial report, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the following financial reports for the month of February 2023. Bank reconciliation, cash summary report by fund, cash summary report by fund and special cost center, disbursement summary report, and investments portfolio review as sent to the board under separate cover. And three, resolve that the Board of Education approves all expenditures for the month of February 2023 as reflected in the above-named reports. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Davis, second. Second by Mrs. Crawford. Mrs. Rosniak, would you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes, and that passes 4-0. Under H, action items and personnel. Number one, again, I'll read together, no objections? Number one, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And two, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibits as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Curtis, second. Second by Mrs. Crawford. Mrs. Rosniak.
Hold on, point of order.
Oh,
Discussion first.
discussion first, sorry.
And then
Okay.
you just ask if there's any
Oh,
discussion.
okay. Do you want to talk about it? Just reminding you to follow the order.
There's quite a few that are retiring. Melissa Freeman with 5.5 years of service, Linda Fisher with 4 years of service, Letha Ingram with 5.5 years of service, and Sue
Vasilowskis.
thanks, 'cause I was gonna mess that up, with 8 years of service. So I know they're gonna be greatly missed, and so congratulations on your future endeavors.
Best of luck, and thank you for what the four of you have done for us, for our district.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Really dedicated employees. Sad to see them go, but better opportunities on the horizon, so definitely wish them the best of luck.
Thank you. Okay, now Ms. Rosniak.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, action items. I, without objection, I'll read I 1 through 9 together. Number one, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation of $111 from RDP Sports Plus Incorporated, 9261 Ravenna Road, Suite B8 in Twinsburg, to the Twinsburg High School for Black History Month per attached exhibit. Two, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation of $555 from Renee and Isaac Herbway, 2881 Oren Way, Twinsburg, to George G. Dodge Intermediate School for Camp Fitch scholarships per the attached exhibit. Three, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the deletion of one microwave at George G. Dodge Intermediate School upon the recommendation of the superintendent. No longer works and it is beyond repair. Four, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the deletion of one Hatchco booster heater at Twinsburg High School upon the recommendation of the superintendent, and that unit was replaced by a new unit. Five, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the attached listing of media center items to be deleted from inventory per the attached exhibit. Six, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the private event contract with signature of Solon Country Club for the class of 2023 prom to be held on Friday, May the 5th, 2023. The event is fully funded by student participants, as sent to the board under separate cover. 7, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the program site agreement with the Alliance for Healthy Youth to provide healthy relationship risk avoidance education for grades 7 to 9 for the 23-24 school year, as sent to the board under separate cover. 8, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding between the Twinsburg City School District Board of Education and the Twinsburg Education Association regarding compensation for teachers who assist long-term substitute teachers in writing lesson plans, effective for the 22-23 and 23-24 school years, as sent to the board under separate cover. And number 9, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following revision to the Twinsburg High School Student Handbook for the 22-23 school year, and that would be on page 11 under unexcused absence, the prom-related appointments on the day of the Twinsburg High School prom with parental approval. Do I have a motion? So moved by Mrs. Crawford, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion?
Yes, just want to say thank you to RDP for their donation to the Black History Club, and to Renee and Isaac what? I know who they are. I just can't pronounce their last names. For their donation of $555 for Camp Fitch. Scholarships think that is generous donation, especially with the price rising for students this year. To be able to donate towards that cause is great. So thank you.
And I'd also like to just comment on the fact that we are nearing that time of year, and I see prom and Signature of Soul, and like, geez, it just feels like, wow, I mean, just time has flown.
Yeah.
So just happy to see that, and happy for our seniors that they will have an opportunity to kind of let their hair down and have a good time.
I was thinking about going once I started on
And I would like to add, just so that we have clarification mentioned here at the meeting, the issue of the prom-related appointments will be on page 11 in the high school handbook. It's under unauthorized absence, but an unexcused absence there's 6 other listed items in there. This will be number 7, but very clear to the families and parents that the work, and even though it is an unexcused absence, the student's work can be made up, and the unexcused absence still does need to have a pre-authorized absence form completed. And again, this will be added into next year's handbook, and there is, again, a list of 6 other items there. This will be added in as number 7. Mrs. Powers,
This is for this year.
this is for this year, what we're going to put in now.
Right, so,
And then it will be followed through into next year's handbook also.
That will be
Correct,
effective this year, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
2022,
and then-
2020.
at
In
the
print.
policy subcommittee meeting, when the board worked through the revised attendance 5,200, this was a point of conversation with Mr. Lynn. He came to the meeting and said that there was a need for language. We want to make sure our students stay safe, right? So we don't want the students not to show up. This would require parents to call them using this form off in a formal manner. And if there's any assignments, they can then make up the assignments the following week. Because our prom is so early in May, we're still in session. But this gives the students a chance, if they have a prom-related appointment for the Twinsburg High School prom. It doesn't count for a Nordonia date or Aurora High School or whatever. Students who are going to our prom, if they have a prom-related appointment, parents notify the attendance office, then it's considered to be an unexcused absence for that day.
And then parents too, if this would be one of the first times a student would do that, you will get an email and or some type of notification telling you that you have filed this application for that release, so that there's no funny business with our kids. I have high school kids, so we've all been through it. This will be followed through just like any other absence that's called in for an early release. Okay, we good? All right, Mrs. Resnaya. Sure. Yes, just 1 through 9. Yes.
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 Yes. And those cast 4-0. Okay, item I-10, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a contract with the Educational Service Center of Western Reserve for one student to attend Gateway High School for a 45-day placement as sent to the board under separate cover. The cost of the tuition is $15,000, and this is a general fund expenditure. Do I have a motion?
We're gonna include I-11.
No.
No, it's
Oh.
separate.
Oh, okay.
11 is a separate motion. So moved.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Curtis, a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any conversation? Okay, Mrs. Rosnier, would you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Abstain. Okay, moving on to I-11. Resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the revised job description for accounting clerk, half-time FTE, as sent to the board under separate cover. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Curtis,
Second.
by Mrs. Crawford. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mrs. Rosnier?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. And, Mr. Curtis, we are at miscellaneous.
I just want to say, wish all the families that are celebrating Ramadan, Passover, and Easter happy holidays regarding that. And Dodge just sent out a notice for the Dodge Art and Culture Show, which is April 13th. Did want to make a note that the international night for April 6th was removed off of the calendar due to just other things that needed to take place. But Dodge is having a art and culture show for the Dodge students on April 13th, and that is going to be with the Iceberg Club as well, and it'll be a nice event with cotton candy, henna tattoos, photo booth, face painting, popcorn, and more, and it'll be a chance for families to be able to see art for parents to see their children's artwork that they've done all year, as well as discuss exciting art and culture related activities, and talk about food, music, and things and about different cultures in the world. So nice event that's happening from 4 to 5:30 that day.
Just wanted to add, for one, appreciate in your President's report, Mrs. Travis, about the acknowledgement for 10 years service. Myself and Ms. Davis were able to attend. Mr. Felber was not able to be there, but nonetheless, he got recognized as well. But one thing that we weren't able to talk about was the fact that as part of the program, we also got recognized for our district's participation in the Student Achievement Fair at the OSBA Capital Conference. So it was a pleasant surprise. We actually got a certificate, so me and Mrs. Davis accepted it on our colleagues' behalf, because Ron is really the one that was the driver behind that. She's the liaison. She's the representative. She's the board's representative for student achievement. So I just wanted to give that public acknowledgement that we got acknowledged out of a whole lot of districts. Twinsburg was highlighted for being a unique participant in the Student Achievement Fair. So I don't know if you wanted to talk any more about what that was, but it was a nice, pleasant surprise.
And Rhonda, we have a certificate, but I didn't dare bring it tonight in case it got waterlogged. So I'm bringing it on a dry night for you.
Thank you, and congratulations again to
Thank you.
both, and Rob.
And Mr. Felber. And to Mr. Felber, who is not here this evening, he'll be celebrating this evening. I believe it has started at this point with Passover at dusk. So we do want to wish him and his family a wonderful Passover this year. So thank you.
Were you going to say anything about that, or it looked like you were about to say something about the program? You good?
Oh, the program was for the All Bikes program that we had Mrs. Wilson come in from Wilcox, who presented at our board meeting earlier last year with the students and the bikes. It teaches the when they're in kindergarten how to ride a bike, and it's a really nice program because these bikes support them in really learning how to ride the bike for the first time, and takes that load off of the parents. So it's been a very successful program at Wilcox, and I thought it would be, with all the work that Mrs. Wilson has been doing at Wilcox, I thought it would be a great idea to highlight it at the student fair at the OSBA conference in November. And so she came in, and we had a lot of different visitors and interest. So thank you to her, Miss Powers and Miss Turner, for allowing her to be there.
Be careful if you go to Wilcox right now because the Strider bikes are all over the hallways. Pedestrian safety.
Popular.
Okay, as we move on, then we do have a need for an executive session tonight. The Board of Education enters into executive session at 7:32 p.m. to consider the employment and compensation of public employees per Board of Education policy number 0166A, and to discuss the board's legal counsel disputes that are the subject of pending court action per Board of Education policy number 166D. I will make the motion to do that and move into that. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll go to Mrs. Crawford. Okay, roll Mrs. Rosnaya. Yes.
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 Yes, and I do not see that we will be coming back to conduct any business following our executive session. Thank you for everyone who's with us and everyone who is watching us. Have a good evening. Be safe and have a good weekend. Thank you.